All right, good morning, everyone. We're going to get going. It's 9 a.m. Welcome to the Logan County Planning Commission for Wednesday, June 2026. We have to read a few things for the record. The Planning Commission meetings are open to the public, and members of the public may attend in person, and the meetings are also virtual, and the public may attend via virtual Zoom. Public comment. Lyon County allows the following alternatives for public comment. If you are attending the virtual Zoom meeting, public comment may be provided by raising your hand and requesting to provide public comment. This can occur in several ways, including by dialing *9 from your phone to raise your hand and to request to speak for public comment. To unmute yourself, dial *6. You can also provide public comment for this meeting by sending an email to countyclerks@lyon-county.org the day prior to the posted meeting date. Be sure to type public comment in the subject line. Written comments may be mailed to the Lyon County Development Office at 27 South Main Street, Yerington, Nevada, 89447, but all public comments must be received prior to the date of the meeting if the comments are to be included in the supplemental materials. Any written public comment received the day of the meeting will be compiled and added as supplemental materials to the county's website and distributed to the Planning Commission within 24 hours after the meeting. Members of the public may attend the meeting in person at the Greg Honeywell Lyon County Commission Chambers, 27 South Main Street, Yerington, Nevada. Please make sure that your phones are silent during the meeting. Now we will move to roll call. Commissioner Merritt?
Here.
Commissioner Allen? Here. Commissioner Sarasola? Here. Commissioner Jones?
Here.
Commissioner Loomis? Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance will be directed by Commissioner Merritt.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Public participation. No action may be taken on any item until it is properly agendized. Members of the public who wish to address the Planning Commission may approach the podium and speak on matters related to the Lyon County Planning Commission, but not on items appearing on the agenda. Speakers are asked to state their name for the record and to sign and print their name on the form at the lectern. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person per topic. The Commission reserves the right to reduce this 3-minute time limit as well as limit the total time for public comment. If your item requires extended discussion, please request the chair to calendar the matter for future Planning Commission meetings. The Planning Commission will not restrict comments based on viewpoint. The same applies to public testimony on each agenda item. The chair may reopen public participation at any time during the meeting. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an item upon which action may be taken. Good morning. So, first and foremost, we have review and adoption of the agenda as a possible action. So we will open that up to public comment. Good morning.
Good morning.
Anyone did? Oh. It's item 8A.
Sorry about that.
8B.
Morning, Steve Rye, District Attorney. I come before you just on 8B. I just wanted to give the board a heads up that we have to call this item. However, the applicant is withdrawn the application. And they had some correspondence with me on April 30th that indicated they were not moving forward. However, I did not consider that a withdrawal, so that's why it showed up on the agenda. So you have to call the item at that time. We'll come forward and explain those circumstances.
Great, thank you. Good morning. And you just need to remember we cannot speak on any agenda items, so you can speak on anything other than that. You just need to state your name and then sign in your address, please.
Well, when I state my name, my 3 million starts. I'll put my name first.
That's perfectly fine. We have
Robin Biggs for the record. I would get too much information. I can't process it, but I'm just. 5A says time certain 10 a.m. So,
We just have someone who's coming in to speak and he's requested a very specific time. So we need to adjust the agenda for him.
and then the 8A, what they're talking about with the substation and all the projects with the power lines and the bases going.
Okay, unfortunately, at this time, we can't speak about that. We will have public time during that actual agenda item that you can discuss it. But this time is for any other thing that's not on the agenda. Unfortunately, or fortunately.
Okay, so it's. Just making notes during my 3 minutes before I get back out of here, so we can do that public hearing. Thank you. Good morning, Al.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Steve said he's gonna.
Good morning.
Good morning, my name is Leo Solari. I was wondering if we can get one of you up there to put an agenda on it, which would put a plan to when all these projects are all coming into fruition. Libra Solar Farm started. I know that's in another county. It doesn't pertain to you guys here, but it does, because it's all going through our city. Yerington sold all the water for that project. Where I live at, I watch 18 trucks an hour go by. Day and night. Last night, 10 o'clock, I think they stopped, but they do start at 5 a.m. They have a certain amount that the Yerington sold them water. Anyway, I'd like to see a plan of these projects. This date, this is happening. When you guys all started proposing all this, I know you just forwarded onto the commissioners and they adopt it or they don't adopt it. But I've seen no schedule about all these projects coming together at once. If they do come together at once, it'd be complete gridlock. We wouldn't be able to move in this town. There is no schedule showing when Copia Power wants to start, when this one. I'd like to see a schedule. There's nothing right now. It's just you sign them as quick as you can. I know we all want the tax money. I want to see a city planning, county planning, make a plan for these projects, the dates, even if they're not on the approved yet. You can't keep throwing all these projects at our little city here. So it's really affecting Mason Valley. That's all I have to say about that. And thanks for everything you do.
Thank you. Anyone else? Have anyone online? Okay, so at this time I'll take a motion for the adoption of the agenda. So
I make a motion to approve the agenda, removing item 8B per Steve Rye's comments. If that item has already been withdrawn, the application has been withdrawn.
Madam Chair, Stephen Wright, District Attorney, that needs to remain on the agenda because it has been posted. At that time, we'll make that request, but the public still have to comment. The applicant can say anything. So we would ask that it remain on the agenda.
Thank you for clarifying. Okay, I make a motion to adopt the agenda as written.
Second.
okay, so the motion was made by Commissioner Loomis, seconded by Commissioner Jones. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, that passes. 5-0. Next item is 5A. We are going to wait for Rick Nelson from Mark IV Capital for his presentation. He's requested a specific time. So we will move on to number 6 for possible action, approval of the minutes. Is there any public comment on the approval of minutes? Anything online? Okay, so at this time, I will take a motion for the approval of the minutes.
Wendy Loomis, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
The motion was made by Commissioner Loomis, seconded by Commissioner Allen. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? That passes 5-0. Next, any advisory board reports? have one Stagecoach Citizens Advisory Board for 8A that's been presented to the commissioners. That's all public comment. Okay, we are going to move forward then. Public hearing items. 8A for possible action to forward a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners regarding a request by NV Energy for a conditional use permit for 345 kV transmission lines. The lines extend from the Walker River substation in Mason Valley to south of US Highway 50 in Dayton, spanning the general land use areas of North Mason Valley and Stagecoach with a combined total length of approximately 103 miles. The project affects portions of 26 parcels, APNs 014-051-02, 014-061-02, 014-091-02, 03-2021, 2223, 014-010-01, 015-451-12, 015-451-26, 27, 28, and 29. 015-511-03, 015-521-19, 015-531-20, 015-551-04, 015-681-01, 015-6901, 015-703-03, 015-711-04, 016-21-24, 26, 28, and 016-023-07, PLZ-2026-024. Staff report.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lisa Nash, Senior Planner. Thank you for letting me join you via Zoom this morning. So today, if we could go to the next slide, Gavin. Thank you. So today we're here to talk about this portion, this CUP that is a portion of the larger GreenLink project that has come before you guys before and has had different parcels. This CUP is for the subject parcels that are located on the south side of Highway 50, extending from the Walker River substation. They are planning to run 3 lines west from the Walker River substation in Mason Valley, and then they head in a north-northwest direction to the Story County line. On the map, you can see the kind of greenish gray areas are the 3 lines. 2 of the lines are running parallel together. Those are the westernmost lines, and then they split apart at the Story County line. The eastern line generally runs north until it hits USA Parkway, and then it follows that alignment to the Story County line. For what we're looking at today, we're only looking at the parcels south of Highway 50, and then you will see coming forward, actually, you probably won't. It'll go directly to the Board of Commissioners if this is approved for a future CUP amendment once the easements are finalized for the properties north of Highway 50. But in this application, we're looking at 26 parcels, and 16 of those parcels are privately owned and 10 of the parcels are owned by BLM. So if we can go to the next slide. Thank you. The parcels, and I may be a little off on the mileages of the parcels in this because we've looked at it in different orientations. So any errors I make, I'm going to ask NV Energy to correct when they do their presentation next. But it looks like we're going to have approximately 103 miles of what they call generation tie lines or gen tie lines. And those include permanent facilities that are the 345 kilovolt transmission lines with permanent structure pads that measure approximately 100 feet by 100 feet. There will be telecommunication facilities, including microwave and optical amplifier facilities, and of course, all the access roads that are needed to access the sites as well as provide maintenance along the lines. So the structures for the transmission line, they're going to vary between 75 and 180 feet in height, and they will have 160-foot easement width along those lines. They're going to be spaced approximately 1,200 feet apart for the entire run of this, and it the access roads are going to have a combination of, there will be unpaved access roads, improved existing roads, new roads, and temporary roads for construction, maintenance, and repairs. And those will all have, as needed, we'll have maintenance agreements with the county, and they will work with us on the building permit side for that. So we can go to the next slide. All right, so here this is a blown up, these are the maps that are shown, and you can see Walker River substation is down in the bottom right corner, and the yellowish lines running off to the left and heading up north. So you see the thicker line to the west, that's the two lines running together, and then the third line is the one that's a little jaggedy going north. We could go to the next slide. And here we're heading up into getting out of Mason Valley into Stagecoach and Silver Springs on the right, Stagecoach on the left, and heading up through those areas. Through the Silver Springs area, it's mainly all on BLM land, as you can see kind of toward the top part of the site or the property. Go ahead, next slide. And here's the final one for this portion, where you can see it's going, continuing up to Highway 50, both over to the west, where we are starting to now hit into the Mark Twain, Dayton area, and then the east side, which is in Stagecoach. So all of these maps and stuff are also included in the staff report and can be seen more clearly there. Go ahead. So looking at this, I normally would always include the master plan mapping and the zoning mapping, but they cover so many properties and so much of the county. I'm just giving a summary that we have the 26 parcels are falling within the Dayton, Mason Valley, Silver Springs, and Stagecoach master plan areas, as well as the general land use north. And they have master plan designations of agriculture, employment, industrial, open space, public land, resource, rural residential, specific plan, and suburban residential. So all of these master plan districts are included in this. If we could go to the next slide. So the zoning, we have 6 different zoning districts this runs through, and I included both what's listed on the assessor's records, which is the zoning under Title 10, as well as their applicable Title 15 standards that they will be held to. And you can see we have rural residential 5, 10, and 20, as well as neighborhood commercial, and then down in the Wabusca area, it starts out in goes through both light industrial, suburban, and heavy industrial. So per the land use tables, power transmission lines 60 kilovolts or greater are allowed in all zoning districts and in the county, and a CUP is required for any lines located outside of the existing designated utility corridors requiring a CUP, which is why you're seeing this here today. They did, in attempting to locate this, the applicant and BLM, when they were working on this, they always try to stay to the utility corridors as close as possible, but those were put down years ago, and alignments don't always match up, which is why we have our CUP process. Next slide. So as usual, we'll talk about the findings for chapter 15.230.06 for this application. Next slide. All right, so these are definitely consistent with the master plan's contemplated uses in all of our districts, and they do meet, the Gentile lines do meet the goals and policies for utility corridors and transmission lines. The applicants, as always, will be required for meeting the conditions. One which I want to point out is the maintenance and dust control on roadways and maintenance agreements with the county, for sure. They will also be required to obtain the building permits, site grading permits, everything that's needed in order to begin operations on or begin construction on this site, on these many sites. The proposed Gentile locations have been chosen very carefully to try to minimize the impact to existing neighborhoods with noise, traffic, and visual nuisances, and they've been routed as such to reduce the impact. Part of the delay for going north of Highway 50 was to look at easements and how they were going to route to reduce impact. And they have tried to stay in already existing utility line areas as much as possible. Lastly, the applicants is held to the National Electric Safety Code requirements and all building codes as a condition of approval. And this helps ensure that the conditional use should not be material or detrimental to the public health, safety, and welfare of Lyon County. We could go to the next. So with that, staff feels comfortable making a recommendation of approval. And I apologize for 26 APNs or all the APNs you're reading out on this one again. Lastly, the applicant has a presentation, and I suggest if you have questions for me, I'm happy to take them now, or take their presentation first, and then we can have the appropriate person answer any questions. And with that, I think I am done on my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Nash. We have one question from Commissioner Jones.
Sure.
When you were showing that list of zoning from 10 to 15, there you go, right there. So RR3 under 10, rural residential 5-acre minimums. Then when it went over to 15, it went to 15-acre minimum.
Oh, sorry, that was a typo. I didn't even catch that. Thank you. It should be 5.
Okay. It's 5.
Yes.
Any other comments prior to listening to the presentation from NV Energy? Okay. At this time, we would like to listen to the presentation from NV Energy, otherwise known as the applicant. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please sign in and then state your name for the record.
My name is Charles Hutchinson. I work for WSP, and WSP is the owner's engineer and the owner's environmental scientist for NV Energy for the Grand Lake Nevada Transmission Project. What that means is we're performing all of the detailed engineering design for the project, as well as all of the environmental permitting for the project before we head to construction, which is on the part of MasTec, which is NV Energy's construction contractor for the project. I just want to begin by thanking the commissioners for inviting us back again. I was here about 2.5 years ago for the conditional use permit application for the Walker River Substation Complex. At that time, I mentioned, as Lisa had mentioned in her preview of the summary report, that Walker River was the first part of the project that we would be seeking county approval for. And then later on, we would be coming back before this body and also the Board of County Commissioners for the conditional use permit for the common tie transmission lines, which is what we're going to be talking about this morning. So just wanted to welcome say thanks for the commission for having us back to talk about the common tie transmission line project. And I've got paper copies if anyone in the audience would like to have a copy as we go along, as well as the commissioners.
I would like one. Thank you.
Probably big.
No.
Lewis, do we have 2 up front too, please? Thank you.
All right, I think we're ready to go to the next slide. So the agenda here, I just want to spend a few minutes just reviewing the agenda, what we'll be talking about. Introductions, I just mentioned I'm Charles Hutchinson with WSP. With me today are representatives from the Grand Lake Nevada Transmission Project team from NV Energy. Adam Godaroff is the project engineering director. Tiffany Beach is a transmission director. Gotcha Nordyke is a project manager in land resources. And Prima Krishnan from WSP is on the environmental planning team. The next thing that I'll go into as we get started here is just the overall GreenLink Nevada transmission project, what it is and why it's needed and why NV Energy is building this system and how it orients through Nevada so that the commissioners and the public can see how the common tie facilities are one piece of the overall GreenLink Nevada transmission project. After that, I'll go into some detail about the common tie facilities itself, where those lines are oriented, based on what Lisa had just presented during her staff report. A little bit about what the project facilities will consist of, and where we are right now in the planning process with Lyon County and the permitting process. The last one, getting toward the end of the agenda, just some project contact information, and then we'll be happy to take questions and comments from the commissioners and the public. So the GreenLink Nevada transmission project is essentially a system that will connect the existing online project, which runs from Ely down to Las Vegas, through three different transmission components. The first transmission component is GreenLink West, which starts in the Las Vegas area and then orients generally north and west to Yerington. At that point, the transmission line terminates at the Walker River substation complex just north of Yerington here. From that point, there are three 345 kV transmission lines extending west from the Walker River substation into Story County and into the city of Reno. Two of the lines orienting out of Walker River substation for the Common Tide transmission project will terminate at the existing Comstock Meadows substation in Story County. The westernmost line will terminate at the Mira Loma substation that NV Energy owns in the city of Reno. So basically from Las Vegas to Yerington is GreenLink West. That's a 525 kV transmission line carrying 525,000 volts. At Yerington, that line stops, and the three 345 kV lines orient west up to Mira Loma and to Comstock Meadows. So that's basically the second component is common tie. And then the third component is GreenLink North, which orients from Walker River substation, generally due east out to Ely to the existing Robinson Summit substation in White Pine County. GreenLink North is a 525 kV transmission line, same voltage as GreenLink West. So basically, when this system is complete, it provides basically a triangle of transmission that provides a more redundant, reliable, resilient transmission system for existing NV Energy customers in the state, and provides a way to backfeed transmission if there's a failure on one part of the line. NV Energy has a mechanism to feed other communities that might be experiencing outages, such that there's a redundant system in place so that no community is out of power with this system when it gets up and running. The purpose, as I mentioned, was redundancy and resiliency and reliability. I won't read all the text here, but one of the key considerations to keep in mind is that the project was mandated by the Senate Bill 448 that NV Energy has to amend its resource management plan to include certain high voltage infrastructure to be placed into service by the end of 2028. And that's what GreenLink Nevada transmission project achieves. When it's fully operational, the transmission lines will be subscribed to NV Energy's existing customers. If other connections want to connect to the transmission system, they have to perform their own studies and receive state and federal approvals and local approvals, just as any other entity might want to connect to the system. They have to follow the same rules. They have to pay their own way into the system. And when the GreenLink Nevada transmission system is built, it will be 100% subscribed to existing customers, meaning any other customers that might want to connect to the system have to make sure that there's enough capacity for them to do so. I can just walk through a bit here. So this is the Walker River substation complex is being constructed just north of Yerington. As Lisa pointed out in her staff report, three 345 kV lines come out of the substation. They all parallel each other on private land until crossing this point on BLM land, where there are two transmission lines. Can't really discern it here, but there are two transmission lines that orient up to the Victoria County border. That can use to be difficulty on the side. So the two westernmost transmission lines that orient up to the Victoria County border are the Mira Loma to Walker River 345 kV transmission line and the Walker River to Comstock #1 transmission line. Yeah. The third transmission line, as Lisa was mentioning, is the Comstock #2 line, which runs from Walker River up to Comstock Meadow Substation in Story County. On this map, we've also got existing and proposed substations. The existing substations are shown with a gray dot, and the proposed substation here at Walker River is the white dot there. Also included in this project are communications facilities, optical amplifier sites, which help boost the microwave signals between microwave towers. Telecommunication systems, the signals degrade over a certain distance, so we need optical amplifier sites to help boost the signal so that the transmission line and the substations can essentially talk with each other and communicate information back to NV Energy's control center about the operation of the system. If things are running hot or if there's failures that might take place, we can pinpoint the cause of that and the location of those failures with the telecommunications systems. And just for reference, the shaded area here, we've got land jurisdiction shown on this map. So the yellow area is BLM land. The orange area to the northeast is Bureau of Reclamation land, and anything that's not shaded, it's in the tan light brown color is private land. And we've got some state land shown in blue just next to the Walker River substation. So in Lyon County, for this particular part, as Lisa was mentioning, this conditional use permit application, the scope of the application is from Walker River substation up to US Highway 50. These mileages here basically include all of the private land in Lyon County, north and south of Highway 50. So these mileages here are inclusive of all the private land in Lyon County that the three lines will pass through. So the Mira Loma to Walker River transmission line crosses approximately 7.7 miles of private land. The Comstock Meadows #1 to Walker River line crosses approximately 7.8 miles of private land. And then the Comstock Meadows #2 line, which is divergent from the other two lines, crosses approximately 13.6 miles of private land of the county. Those are the transmission lines. There's also one small distribution line that will be running underneath US Highway 50 to provide power to one of the optical amplifier sites that's just south of US Highway 50. There's also a telecommunication site, a microwave tower that's on BLM land at Pine Nut Peak. It's an existing facility that NV Energy will just simply be adding some control mechanisms to, but not increasing the height or the footprint of that facility. And next slide. This slide just goes into the timeline of where we began with Lyon County as far as the permitting process and where we are right now in that process. A year and a few months ago in February of 2025, we had a pre-application meeting with Gavin and Lewis and the rest of the planning department to understand what the conditional use permit requirements were and if there were any changes that we needed to make sure that we complied with based on the first conditional use permit application that we had for the Walker River complex back in 2023. Later in April of 2025, we provided the conditional use permit application to the Community Development Department for review and comments. They determined that we had an incomplete application because we did not have all of the landowner signatures for basically property owner affidavits signed on the application form. So for the past year, NV Energy has been working with the landowners, the private landowners, to acquire easements and obtain signatures on the affidavit form so that we can provide a complete resubmittal to Lyon County. And that's what we did just this past April, a couple of months ago. On the 21st, we provided Lisa and the Community Development Department with a resubmitted application that was largely the same as what we had provided before in April of 2025, but now with easements that had been negotiated with private landowners and signed affidavits on the property owner application form. Today is the Lyon County Planning Commission hearing. The next two steps will be on July 2nd to go before the Board of County Commissioners to receive a decision on the conditional use permit application for everything between Walker River and Highway 50. On August 6th, we'll be back in front of the Board of County Commissioners with an amended application that simply adds on to information north of Highway 50 that concerns the reroute that we had with one of the private landowners there, and also the material yard that's going in on Black Hawk Road near Stagecoach. So those are the next steps in the process for land use permitting, which is basically the first part of the process. The second part of the process is construction permitting. So NV Energy's construction contractor, MasTec, will be working with the Public Works Department to get building permits, grading permits, any access road permits that might be needed, executing a road maintenance and traffic management agreement to make sure that roads that are used for construction are returned to their pre-construction condition. MasTec will be doing a similar kind of activity where for Walker River Substation, they videotaped Sierra Way to understand what the pre-construction conditions of that road were and to monitor those conditions and repair as needed that roadway based on a performance bond and agreement that we have with the county. We'll be executing a similar kind of agreement for the other construction activities on roads that MasTec will be using for the common tie facilities and to be able to get to the right of way for the common tie transmission lines. This slide just talks a little bit about other local government coordination that we've been going through in Story County and in the city of Reno. We've gone through the same process with a pre-application meeting first to make sure that we understand what the permitting requirements are for those jurisdictions. Then we provide a special use permit application similar to what we've done with Lyon County for conditional use. And we're working through those jurisdictions right now to get them signed affidavits and easements in the same manner that we've done with Lyon County and making progress there. And we hope to have those two jurisdictions resubmitting applications to them. We just resubmitted to Story County last week based on easements that we had obtained for the past year to help get that basically move the permitting process along with Story County. And we're also coordinated with the city of Reno right now to restart that permitting process with easements that we've obtained and landowner affidavits that have been signed so we can move that permitting process along as well. It's not only local government rules and regulations that we have to comply with. There's a number of state of Nevada permits that we need for construction activities generally. This list here just points out some of the permits that we've already received from the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection, stormwater, surface area disturbance for dust control and air quality that's required. Working in waterways temporary permit for construction activities and construction vehicles that may enter into drainages or washes that require a permit for that. The Nevada Division of Forestry, we received a collection or a take permit for rare plants. There's a Nevada sensitive species that's along the Comstock number 2 line that we needed to get state Division of Forestry approval for. Nevada Division of State Lands, Division of State Lands considers the Carson River bed as a state land. So as the lines cross that river, we needed to get a Nevada Division of State Lands permit for that crossing, and we've obtained that. We're working right now, and we have been working with NDOT for the permit that's necessary for the underground distribution line across Highway 50 or under Highway 50 for that telecommunication site that's just south of Highway 50. When we complete that and when we complete the local government permitting process, we'll basically package all of these permits into our UWEPA application that we've already submitted to the Public Utilities Commission of Nevada. The Public Utilities Commission reviews our application and issues a compliance order saying, you listed all these permits, now prove to us that you've received all these permits, and then we will issue you your UWEPA permit to construct. And once we get local government approval and the final NDOT permit, we'll have that package ready to satisfy the UWEPA permit to construct from the state. And that's basically the last permit that we have to obtain is that UWEPA permit to construct. That's basically our notice to proceed from the state that we can construct the project. And UEPA comes into play because the line is greater than 200 kV. It's a 345 kV line. It triggers the need to have review at the state through the UEPA process. And in addition to state permits, there's also federal permits. This project has been subject to the NEPA process with the BLM. And that started in 2022. The BLM issued their record of decision in late 2024 after they evaluated all the resources and alternative routes and what the route's impact on resources would be. They issued their record of decision for the project. We've also coordinated with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for impacts to waters of the U.S. that are under the Corps of Engineers jurisdiction, as well as the Federal Aviation Administration. We have to file all of the structures to make sure that the location of the structure and the height of the structure won't be a problem for navigable airspace from public and private airstrips. So the FAA is still in the process of reviewing the common tie facilities for those determinations to see whether or not there are any obstructions to airspace. And we're currently working with them to get that process completed. They've completed some of their determinations, but not all of them yet for the common tie facilities. For the project schedule, for local, state, and federal permitting, we've been engaging in those activities for the past year and a half. So we intend to complete that by the end of 2026 and then have construction start in the fall of 2026 and into the winter of 2027 or the spring of 2027. At the peak of construction in Lyon County, there could be as many as 200 to 400 people, construction workers utilizing RV parks in the county, for which MasTec, the construction contractor, has made contributions to upgrade one of the RV parks specifically for the project and to be a good steward to the community, to give back to the community. That's one of the tenets that NV Energy has made clear to the construction contractor, that NV Energy and the construction contractor, their primary goal is to be good stewards to the community. This is your community. We're here as guests, and we want to treat everyone fairly and make sure that we have a good relationship with the county in the years to come. And this is one of the ways that we go about, providing good stewardship to the community and making sure that we're a partner with the community and are complying with all the rules and regulations that we need to. That number, 200 to 400 people, is just an estimate that could change based on construction sequencing. A lot of what the construction is built on is material deliveries, and it's with global economics being what they are. Sometimes we get materials in when we expect to get them. Sometimes we don't, and there's a delay. But we're actively managing that procurement process to make sure that the construction contractor can move it as efficiently as they can throughout the common tie area and not stay in any one place for any length of time longer than they have to. They want to make sure that they're progressing. It's incumbent on them to keep their construction schedule moving so that they can complete the project and get the project in service by the date that's been mandated. And this last slide, it just gives a contact email and the website address for members of the public to submit comments to NV Energy, and the team members will get back to them with responses. It's also a good place to just find out information about the project, what the project is and what it is not. So it's a good resource for just getting factual information about the project. And that concludes my presentation. Are there any questions or comments from the commissioners?
Thank you, Mr. Hutchison. We'll start on the left or the right, sorry.
Yes.
State your name just for the record, please.
Yeah. Good morning, Wendy Loomis. Thank you for that extensive presentation. I'm sure there's an army of people on your side who are working towards this. I had a couple of things. You said you want to be good stewards to the community. I don't see you being good stewards to the land. I don't see any interaction with tribes and local tribes in the area. I don't see any interaction with SHPO or TIPO. Tribal historical preservation. This area is massive to the tribes. Many tribes lived on this land, exactly where you're trying to go. So I don't see anything there. That's just a comment. The question I have is optical amplifiers that boost the microwave signals. What's the side effects of that?
I can't speak to the specific side effects, but it's basically an invisible signal that's basically transmitted between the optical amplifier sites and the microwave towers, and perhaps Adam can answer it better than I can.
Just make sure you sign in, please, and state your name for the record. Thank you.
Adam Galarov, NV Energy. So, and just to clarify, sorry, because we have both fiber optic systems that are our primary source of communication, as well as microwave radio as a backup. So the optical amplifiers are specifically for the fiber optic system. So as far as any effects, there are no effects. It's simply light going down the glass fiber optic cable. I'd say.
Perfect. That will be a question we will get asked.
Okay.
So I figured I would ask it first.
Not a problem. And we have this throughout our system today. That's with both fiber optics and microwave radio. That's how we tie all of our substations and transmission lines and other facilities together. We monitor these facilities 24/7, 365. We have people staffed all the time. They're constantly monitoring our systems, and that's how the communication system is our eyes and ears of how our system is performing. If there's a fault somewhere, if things are working well, what's the temperature, all things like that.
So
So
do they monitor it for negative output as well?
negative
Anything
outputs
negative?
For, yeah, like a fault, you mean, like a problem with the system?
Identify anything?
Yes, certainly. And in the instant, that's kind of instantaneously. The second something happens, that information, whether there's a circuit breaker that opened due to some fault, maybe some Mylar balloons got in the line, or maybe something happened, that information is relayed instantaneously to our operations center.
Thank you so much for your
Sure.
answer.
Sure.
My concern more is about the tribes, so we'll leave that one with you.
I know it's just a comment, but let me add to that. So as part of our construction process, primarily with our Bureau of Land Management permitting, we are bound to have a CIC, a compliance inspection contractor, on site at all times.
Mhm.
That group of people is hired by the BLM. We pay the bill and they report directly to the BLM. The CICs, the compliance inspection contractors, to make sure that we are in compliance with the terms of our federal grants. They are the ones that go hire the TIPOs so they'll hire the tribal historic preservation officers to be on site with them. That's not directed by us. So they have the interaction with the tribes. The Bureau of Land Management, through their federal permitting processes, had that interaction. The tribes have all been part of the cooperating agencies, just like Lyon County has been. But to answer to address your comment, the compliance inspection contractor will be the ones that work with and bring on board the tribes.
Okay, so nothing is reflected in your presentation, so I recommend that you maybe reflect that in the future.
Can do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Going through this, I'm not sure it's an answer, a question for you or Lisa, but it seems like the county has determined that the conditions have been met for this project. Going through this information, is that correct, Lisa?
The conditions of approval for the project to go forward.
Yeah.
We've put conditions on the project, but there's no approval yet for them to proceed.
Okay, I must have misread that in the information. Then I just want to make sure that the horse isn't out there too far ahead of the cart, where you can't bring it back into the corral. And where are you exactly putting this RV park?
I can ask Adam to maybe step up to see it.
Don't put it on Indian land. All right.
No.
Trouble with.
No, these are local RV parks. So our construction contractor is the party responsible for working to determine where their folks will be staying. Some may be staying in Reno, some may be staying in neighboring counties. But I know that, for example, at the Walker River Substation Complex, where we previously obtained use permit from Lyon County to construct, the construction contractor worked with some of the local RV parks to identify what requirements they would have. I know they've contributed financially to build up those RV parks, so they're not building them themselves, they're working with local RV parks to develop those.
I see most of our RV parks are pretty well packed, and they fill up pretty quick. As soon as we open one, they're full. And it's not travelers staying in these things as much. So I was just wondering how they were going to pick up the additional.
Sure, and also part of that number that Charles identified, that average of 200, that includes our substation personnel also, so that are working at the Walker River Substation Complex. In addition to the folks that'll be working on the transmission line construction, we're all kind of working together on this screen.
Commissioner Sarasolo, I'm just going to kind of reiterate with what Commissioner Loomis said. probably just a statement in your area when you talk about some of the processes for permitting that you've gone through. Putting a link to your environmental impact statement.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure you've completed and done, because that will list a lot of your cultural and biological resources that have had to be reviewed and documented over the previous 3 to 7 years.
It's a long list.
It's just a good form so people have the ability to ask that. If you ask that question, you can direct them into a certain location, because I think that gets missed by the general public. That with Bureau of Land Management, you have to go through a very large process of permitting, which covers your biological and your cultural aspects of it. And that is important here to be a good steward. I think you can see also by the number of people in this room that this community is going to be impacted immensely by the traffic and the people that are going to come in to this community. These projects do bring money, though, to the local people, so that's important to remember as well. I have worked on numerous large projects throughout the United States, so I've seen the benefits and I've seen the constraints of it. So that being said, you know, giving a good timeline of truly what your construction duration is going to be, because I have never been on a project that starts on time and typically finishes pretty close to the dotted line, but it gets stretched when you get into these bureaucracies of trying to permit these processes through so many jurisdictions.
Right.
That's real. So making sure that that information is updated on the public record side of when truly you're going to go to construction and where those things are might be beneficial, as was addressed earlier in the room. Go ahead.
Yeah, point noted. So as we began construction of the Walker River substation complex, we reached out to the county to let them know. I don't know who in the planning group or specifically the people that we reached out to, but we did do that to let them know the times we would be doing construction, and also to get feedback. If there were any comments from the community, if there were any concerns, we want to make sure we're addressing those. We had received feedback from Lyon County on things like that. We had a construction contractor put up some additional signage in certain cases, in certain locations. So yeah, we do maintain contact with the county. It's not just that we get a permit and we go away and never see us again. So we do want to maintain those open lines of communication. If there are any concerns, we have a very rigorous contract with our construction contractor. They have to maintain all roads and if you do any repairs, everything has to put back at least to the condition it was before we came on site. So that includes, access, if they're blocking access, things like that. They're not allowed to do that. So we certainly want to hear if there are any comments from the community on that. But we will be reaching out to Lyon County as we get closer to construction and let everyone know which location we'll be working in.
Yep. I just would be forward with that as well, as that when you do have to put up signage for some of your permits specifically make you put up signage, to put them somewhere where we're going to see them as a public. We do tend to put them at the very middle of a construction site, or so. I mean, we know that information is going to need to be processed. So I think putting a situation where you're meeting it heads on, so the number is there, if there is a person that answers that phone, or there is a place where you can leave commentary via an email. I've just worked on big, large scale projects, and people really just want to be heard. And it shouldn't be based on the inundation of the county to do that, or the city of where you're working. It should be based on the applicant. And I've worked a lot with NV Energy, and they usually are a very good applicant, and they have to be here forever. Somebody pays that bill all the time. So it's nice to work with that, but just making sure that information is available and where we can find it, because sometimes it gets buried along the lines. You guys know where those links are, but the public doesn't. So
Sure. Yeah.
if that information could be shared.
Yeah, and typically we have specific locations where we have to have that signage. And in addition to that, Charles had it up on the end of the slide presentation there. You can go to nvenergy.com/greenlink. There's a location right there on our website where you can submit comments or questions.
Perfect.
And even we've had some customers, we've already begun work in Southern Nevada as well as Northern Nevada. And sometimes the public may see someone in a grocery store or the gas station. Our construction personnel have actually a little QR code, so people just need to take their phone and their camera and click it. It takes them right to that page, so they can leave comments there or questions. So we're trying to make sure we have multiple opportunities for people to comment.
Excellent. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
The only other question I had was truly the duration of the construction project. You say from fall of 2026 to spring of 2027. Does that encompass the entire construction process footprint, or are we looking at more like probably a year of construction, not a 6-month period? I mean, I know it's dependent.
Stand up here.
I know. Also, just dependent upon some
I'm getting my good
things,
exercise.
but
Yeah, so the fall 26 to spring of 27 construction will be the bulk of the lion's share of the work in Lyon County. They will extend through December of 27, but the bulk of it will be done probably mid-year of next year. Because we've got multiple line segments, we'll have multiple crews working on that.
right. I think that sometimes on big projects, we also fail to be precise about how long we're going to be somewhere because cleanup is still a process. So I appreciate that
Yes,
information.
right. So once we place the facilities in service, at the tail end of that will be when we're doing all remediation. So there'll be clean, I mean, there'll be cleaning up along the way as they go.
Right.
They won't just leave everything there. They don't want to have to come back and do more work. So they'll pretty much clean all that up. But any mitigation or remediation that has to be done will be done afterward. But everything is slated to be done by the end of next year, but the bulk of the transmission construction work will be done about mid-year. That's
Okay,
what we're
so
targeting.
that's what you're stating is your in-service time is December of 2027?
The actual service time, which means we may have the transmission line done months before that.
Correct.
But we're completing substation work because the power substations talk to each other via the transmission lines. That's how they send power. So we'll be doing completing construction on the substations, and then we do all of our testing and checkout before we energize that line.
Right, okay, great, thank you.
Sure.
Anything on this side of the room?
No, I think you have been very thorough.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, well, this time then we're gonna open it up to public comments. The gentleman may just be prepared to answer questions if needed, so is there anybody in the public that would like to speak? I have one coming up behind you and then you can follow him. Thank you. Again, just make sure you sign in, please, and then state your name for the record.
Micah Triplett. Thank you, NV Energy, for presentation. I only have one question. And when I was looking at the map, it does look like this line is going to pass on the west side of Fort Churchill State Park. I'm just curious about kind of visual impacts on that sunset area and that state park because it's a historical area. So if you guys could clarify that or provide visuals on what you think it would look like, that would help.
Yes, Charles Hutchinson again, WSP. The environmental impact statement that the BLM wrote has a section on visual impacts. And one of the, I believe one of the parks and some of the photo simulations that were constructed for the EIS are included. So there's an impact section on visual resources that takes into account the effect of what the transmission line would have on a state historical park or other parks that are notable scenic viewpoints, other parks and recreation areas. To your point, I can provide the link to the BLM's EIS where that information can be found and members of the public can review that impact analysis. It's one of many resources that have been evaluated in the EIS. Visual impact and scenic impacts are often, when we're talking about long linear projects like this, that's often, especially in the landscape like we have in Lyon County where you can see the lines from miles away. Visual impact is also is one of the comments we receive most often as far as what's it going to look like. You know, is it going to be a blur? How close is it going to be? What impact would it be on my family and I when we go to a recreational area? We don't want to see, you know, transmission lines right on top of us. You know, how far is it going to be away? And that's one of the other things that the BLM looks at is trying to space enough distance between the transmission line and a sensitive resource such as a historical park or another recreation area, and to minimize that impact as best we can. Also in the EIS, there's a long list of mitigation measures that NV Energy has to comply with. As Adam was mentioning, the compliance inspection contractor takes note of all the different mitigation measures, whether it's air quality or water quality or cultural resources or tribal or visual and scenic impacts. There's mitigation measures specific to visual impacts and analysis that have to be met based on structure heights and materials that the structures are made out of. It's going to be a Corten self-weathering steel. It's not a galvanized shiny steel that blinds you from the landscape where you can see it reflecting off for miles out to a distance. It blends in with the landscape over time. So that's one of the mitigation measures that NV Energy and the BLM have imposed to reduce the impacts to visual resources such as parks and other recreation areas.
Thank you. Next, go ahead. Just make sure you sign in and then state your name for the record.
Okay, so brought up the computer just so I could stay on track. Otherwise, I'll be the squirrel and be all over this. Good day, commissioners. My name is Marjorie Redden, and I am here today as a concerned citizen asking you to take careful evidence-based look at this proposed transmission project before making a final decision. This project is just not a line on a map. It represents a permanent change to Lyon County. It will affect real people, real families, and the rural way of life that so many of us chose this community for. Across the county, across the country, high voltage transmission lines have been shown to reduce nearby property values, introduce visual and noise impacts, and creates long-term burdens for those that live closest to them. But just as important is what does it do to the land itself? These corridors fragment open space, disrupt wildlife habitat, and interfere with migrant routes that species depend on to live. Once those landscapes are divided, they are not easily restored. And we don't have to look far to understand what long-term consequences can mean. Right here in Lyon County, the legacy of the Anaconda mine near Yerington has left groundwater contaminated that has impacted wells and communities for decades and is still being addressed today. This is a clear example how decisions made without fully understanding impacts can result in damage that cannot simply be undone. History shows us that projects like this rarely stand alone. Transmission corridors open the door to additional industrial development, expanding impacts far beyond what is proposed today. Commissioners, your responsibilities is to ensure this project is consistent with the master plan, compatible with surrounding land use, and does not harm public health, safety, or welfare. That requires substantial, clear evidence. I urge you to deny or delay this project because of once this decision is made, the impacts are permanent, and Lyon County will have to live with the consequences long after this meeting is over. Thank you.
Thank you.
Robin Biggs for the record. If NV Energy is really working with their transparency, why isn't that map that they said that we can go to a website and look at what it's going to all look like in this packet? We need the whole green link. We're talking about the green link here, the whole green link. Down from Nevada all the way down to Vegas. They're doing the watersheds, they're destroying the water. The BLM gave them that land illegally. Kim Dow at the Carson City office was short 3 people in the office that were supposed to do their due diligence to see if this could go on to Kim Dow, that she would send it to the state. Then the state would look at it, and if they agreed, they'd send it to the federal level. This cannot go forward. All the mega solar farms, the data centers, even all over the state of Nevada. When it's all done, and they're calling them all these cute names, the pine nuts, and there's a pine nut here, and then there's the pine nut, down in Smith Valley. When it's all done, and we have people here on staff that are acting as lobbyists for them unknowingly. And they're not putting in the proper solar panels. The county commissioners had someone from UNR, Property Extension, put on the bad solar panels and the good solar panels that help the environment. And the solar panels going on here are gonna be turning on north here, they turn, they're down low. And they're saying they're waiting on something from the FFA, they need to do their they need to do due diligence and let FFA also not only look at these high tension wires, but also at the same time, do what they've been told that they need to go forward to see what these solar farms are going to do to land in a helicopter, the small airplanes, the big airplanes, the commercial airplanes, because you're going to have these mega solar panels mirrored going up. They're not working for the people. They're not being transparent, and we are the people. And I think we need to look at a whole map of the Green Link, because they're pulling the wool over our eyes, saying that all these little solar panels and stuff are, all over. And they have started on it. You can drive out there and you can see the bases of these high tension wires.
Thank you. Your time is up. I appreciate it, Ms. Biggs.
My name is Brian Taylor, live in Stagecoach. I guess my question is more to Nevada Energy, and you have proposed transmission lines here all south of 50. And you mentioned possible reroute north. Is that right?
Not a reroute, but.
That's the word you use.
Continuation of the line.
What's that?
Okay, that kind of sorry. You may have to. You can give your opinion, you can't really ask questions specifically to anybody.
Okay, well, I need a question answered. What is the reroute? If you have a proposed line, where's the proposed line for the reroute? With a list of APNs that are affected by that reroute and affected by the currently proposed route. Where?
So you're looking for information for the proposed reroute?
Yeah, I wanna list the APNs north of 50. Why is it all south of 50?
Okay, can staff answer that question?
Hi, Lisa Nash, Senior Planner. Yes, this CUP is only for the lines south of 50 at this point because they are still working on their easements and the landowners agreements north of 50. So it's conceptually shown on the maps at this point, but this application is not about the lines north of 50 yet, unfortunately.
Let's bring that on us later, I guess.
It won't be sprung on you, but it will be brought up publicly with more hearings when they do a conditional use permit amendment.
Thank you, Ms. Nash. Anybody else? I'm
Leo Solari, and we were told we could ask questions.
Okay,
I didn't question you, right? You can ask questions to staff.
Never seen such an incomplete application. And has anyone on this commission here gone out and visually looked at any of these properties in Lyon County that they're proposing us to go through? I would like to see that. I'd like to see photos. It's private properties. I can't go out there of the properties being, I call it destroyed, but I know this is progress, but I'd like to see that before we proceed any further with this incomplete presentation. Next time, have someone up here and answer questions from the presentation.
Staff can. Anybody else in the chambers have any information or questions for this public hearing? How about online? Is there anybody online? Looks like we have a hand up in the corner for Mandy. Did she need to state her address as well as her name for the record, since she can't sign in? Okay, so just state your name for the record, please.
Good morning, Amanda Bernand, Stagecoach resident. 16 of the 26 APNs on this agenda item are located in Stagecoach, and there will be 3 power lines built there with 3 160-foot wide power line corridors, or over close to 500 feet, and the associated roads in this small valley. So the community will be heavily impacted by this. Most thought the power lines would be following highway corridors and not going through neighborhoods. The BLM environmental impact statement maps were so broad scale that you couldn't determine where they were going. So those didn't provide any advance notice. There are many residents whose properties will be adjacent to or impacted by these large power lines. However, the only people that'll be will be contacted or is if MV Energy is looking for a right-of-way for their power lines or road. Other than the CAB meeting last week, there's been no communication or outreach with the communities throughout the design of this project. And the power lines will be seen and felt for a large distance away and affect property values, marketability, and visuals for the residents. As previously stated, this CUP is only for the south side of Highway 50, and the amendment will cover the north side. On the lower scale map of Stagecoach that was provided, the power line stops at Highway 50, and the line to the north is hidden. And this is where the amendment will be, and this is also where most of the homes in Stagecoach are located. This CUP should be for all of the power lines in Lyon County and not done in 2 actions. How can the Planning Commission determine if the project is compatible with adjacent developments when the whole project isn't even included? Also, was the Stagecoach Area Drainage Master Plan consulted for the power line and road locations? Stagecoach has many drainage and flooding issues and don't want the new access road or wide areas of bare soil under the power lines to make these issues worse. The laydown yard, the other NV Energy contractor in Stagecoach, has been violating their temporary use permit terms and conditions since the day they started, and they still haven't been remedied as of today. They don't really seem to care, and they don't even respond to residents who are being covered in the untreated dust coming off their yard, and they contacted them. The county's also tried to remedy their violations, but with the same results. I bring this up so that any violations have immediate repercussions and they aren't allowed to continue with work that affects residents. Also, what will long-term dust control and weed abatement be? Not just while they're working, but for 10, 20, 30 years, basically forever. We don't want weed fields under the lines or causing additional dust released into the air. Thank you for your time and allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Anybody else online? Okay, I don't see any additional hands online. At this time, we will take a motion. On page 11 is the recommended motion. For
I'll make a motion. Based on findings A through G, which are aforementioned, and the following conditions of approval, I think there are 15 of them.
Yes.
Okay. I move that the Planning Commission recommend approval to the Board of County Commissioners for the request by NV Energy for a conditional use permit for 345 kilovolt transmission lines. The lines extend from Walker River Substation in Mason Valley to south of US Highway 50 in Dayton, spanning the general land use areas of North Mason Valley and Stagecoach, with a combined total length of approximately 103 miles. The project affects portions of 26 parcels, APN 014-05102, 014-061-02, 014-091-02, 03, 20, 21, 22, 23, 014-101-01, 015-451-12, 015-451-26, 27, 28, 29, 015-511-03, 015 521 19 531 20 015 551 04 681 01 691 01 701 03 711 4 016 021 24 26 and 28 and 016 23 07 PLZ 026 024. I'm winded.
I was gonna say, just make sure, I'm gonna make a clarification. It's PLZ 2026 024.
Thank you for that.
Yes. So it's been motioned by Commissioner Allen. Is there a second?
A second.
Been seconded by Commissioner Merritt. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Any, sorry, what's the word I'm looking for? Abstentions. I was gonna say opposition, but we already did that one. There are none. That one passes 3-2. Before we move on to 8B, we are going to move back up to time certain speak presentation, which is going to be Rick Nelson from Mark IV Capital regarding existing and ongoing proposed development projects in Lyon County.
Where we go now?
Yeah.
Okay. You're gonna bring that up.
Yes.
Morning, Carol. How are you, sir?
Hey, Mark, I'm doing good.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, Gavin Henderson, can we take a 5-minute recess to let anybody?
Okay, we're gonna take a 5-minute recess. It is 10:16. We will resume at 10:21.
I'm good.
Okay, it's 10:22. We're gonna call this meeting back to order. In front of us, we have Mark IV in their presentation. How are you, General?
I'm good. So, Rick Nelson from Mark IV Capital. I'm the project leader for the Victory Project in Pearlie, Nevada, and I thank the commission for letting me give you an update on what we're doing. This is a 2-year update. So there's a lot of things that we've done. So, let's go to the next slide, please. So we started off, we have a phase 0 through a Workforce Center of Excellence. Go next slide, please. Phase 0 is really what we started in 2021 to 2022. We built 4 speculative buildings. Currently, the largest one there is occupied by Tesla, and we're working with them right now. We have lots of interest in the other buildings right now with logistics companies coming in. So we're working with NV Energy as well as others to bring in the required amperage to bring those companies in. And so we're pretty excited about that. So we should see full occupancy by the 4th quarter of this year coming up. So we think that's great, which will then drive up the workforce in Fernley at the same time. So a lot of good stuff going on there. We have 4 other buildings planned as workforce demand goes up. We have those pads that are also built. And so we're just waiting for that demand to show up. And we think that's starting to come. We were in a slump for about 1.5 years, all the whole market was. And it is really coming out and it's starting to pick up a lot of speed right now. Next slide. So in our development agreement with the city of Fernley, they asked us to provide a whole lot of open space as part of that. And so we've done that. So we've taken all the stormwater management. So we have 4 large stormwater basins we've built so far, and they all have stormwater access to them. We've rerouted storm underneath 90 acres, and we rerouted that. We're going through our letter of revision right now with the Corps of Engineers, and we'll have that completed probably within the next 6 months. And that'll then change the map face of what's going on there. And that's next to the Nevada Pacific Parkway, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. We've also did a lot of incentives for open public space. So we're building into the roads that we put in, a public pathway that has both walking and bicycles next to it. And we're doing that because we see that going to the north of Interstate 80 when we start the north in 1.5 years. And we want to run bicycle paths and public walking paths throughout the entire development in the north. So that's working that as well. We also have just finished, we've got the land for the fire station in process to be donated. The fire station is being built. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. And then we have the interconnected trail system. So we're very keen about public lands, and we have the Broadbent, a cultural organization in Reno, looking at the old alignment of the Union Pacific Railroad as well as the Immigrant Trail to make sure that we preserve that and we make that part of the greenway in the north. So we're making sure all of that's incorporated into our plans. Additionally, we've done a lot of monument signs. So we started off, we called this Victory Logistics District. We have since moved it to just Victory, and we have a number of districts within Victory, logistics being one. We have an innovation district for the data centers and the data products. We have a rail district for the railroad that we're working on right now. And so we're looking at all those areas, and we'll have additional districts as we go forward. So it'll be a Victory project with a number of districts in that. Next slide, please. So this is just south of 80, so about 2,000 acres. And if you look at the map now, phase 0, we just talked about, those buildings exist. We've currently working on phase 2A, 2B, and then the purple spaces below it, which is phase 1. All of those have been plowed or mass graded, and we're putting in the roads and infrastructure right now. We expect to have all those roads complete by February of 27. We expect to start the headworks for the wastewater treatment plant next month. That permit is up for approval in the city, and we just paid our fees for that, so we should see that coming forward. And then we're almost done with the railroad in the south, and we'll have some pictures of that coming up as well. We sold a big piece in the middle to Microsoft. So Microsoft is out there right now, and they're working on their land, and they're getting ready to submit their permits to the city to begin their process. And so we have an ongoing dialogue with Microsoft and a number of other data centers that are looking at these large tracts of land to put their data centers in there. So that comes with power, and we'll talk about that a little later on in the brief. Next slide, please. So phase 1. So these are pictures are fairly recent. That's Gavin Road. We just named that road. We went to the city and we went through a naming process and we called it Gavin. We paved it last week.
That's a nice name.
Okay. All right, I moved it after the clerk over here. So. Anyhow. So, I didn't know how hard naming roads were until I tried to, and then there's so many names and so many reasons why you can and cannot do naming, so. We got that one through the gonculator, so we're good. We just paved it, the Nevada Energy is taking those poles down, we're undergrounding all the power. And that's a mile long, and that takes you out to the wastewater treatment plant, but it does open access to two large parcels of land. One is 100 acres and the other is 70 acres. And the 100 acres is just below it. And so we've got all this worked out, and it's looking well, and it gives you access on both sides. What this does for us is it gives build-to-suit opportunities for large businesses to come in. So we have a lot of advanced manufacturing that are looking at this property right now, and they're going through their determination to come in. What's key about that is the workforce that comes behind it. So we're looking at 200 for one company, up to 1,000 for another. And then we have to train that workforce, find a place for it to live, and then get it involved in what's going on. So a lot of manufacturing coming to northern Nevada. Lot 22, which is that large space down there, that's where the letter of map revision is going through. So we actually ran a culvert underneath that entire area. It's a mile long, and we rerouted close to 4 square miles of water into the Bureau of Land Rec area. So that's going. We're also putting in the UP rail spur. We're about 70% done with that. We expect to have that complete with a railroad and a rail line on it in August. Next slide, please. This is really where all the work is coming. So if you come to Victory, phase 2 is 4.5 miles of road. We're putting that in. All the infrastructure goes underneath. So I get asked a lot of questions about, you're not doing a lot. Actually, we are. It's just, you just don't see it. It's all underneath the ground. It's going in. So it connects stormwater, it connects sewer, it connects natural gas, it does utility lines. It puts all of that in, and then we're paving the road. We just started paving it. We're doing that. We'll have that going on for the next 3 months to get the paving done. And we're starting to stripe the road that we've paved already. So a lot of work taking place in that area. At the same time that we're doing all this, we're putting in the public utility easements. So we provided a substation for NV Energy. So we've given them that easement, and that's the Victory substation. I'm sorry, Vaquero substation for NV Energy. We also gave them a transmission easement for their transmission line for Greenlink. So in the future, when they come up with Greenlink, there's a location for them to connect to their substation. So again, as you heard the gentleman earlier, there's a lot of ongoing effort by NV Energy to kind of set the stage for them to succeed. So it's going to take a while, but they're working on it, right? So we're happy to see that happen. We also have, we're working with the state on how to use the water, how to move the water, how to reclaim the water, as water is a critical requirement, and we take that very seriously, and we lay that out as well. Next slide, please. The railroad spur. So it took us a year to get a industrial track agreement with UP. We finally had that achieved. We have about a mile plus road there, rail going in. And you can see just at the UP main line, we're waiting for permission from UP to shut down the rail line. And then they'll connect that actually to the main line. So it takes a lot of coordination. We expect it to happen about mid-July, maybe late July. It'll take them about 2 or 3 days, and then they'll connect into the main line. They got to have electrical switch in there, and then it's got to be connected to their terminals. And so a lot of work going on there. We're going to have a silver spike effort on 20 August. The governor's going to come out and speak. We've invited a host of state and national officials to come out, and then we'll follow that up with an economic summit at Victory to talk about what we can do in northern Nevada to maintain the momentum that we have right now. So we're using the rail as the place to do that. So it'll be done, and then those properties are being highly scrutinized, like I said, by a couple of manufacturers that want to use rail as a means of logistics movement for them. So again, it is the only. It will be the only large-scale rail project that goes on. There's an inland port. We understand that, but this is much larger than that and has multiple spurs inside of that. Next part. Nevada Pacific Parkway. So for 3 years, the city of Fernie was pursuing a grant from DOT. We've canceled the grant. We actually just let it sundown. It became burdensome and costing us more money using the grant than it was worth using it. So we already spent about $5.5 million on administrative efforts under the grant process. And so we saw another 3 years of doing that. We didn't see the means to do that. So we stopped that. We're going to go through a special assessment district process with the city. We expect to have this completed and out for maximum price by August of this year. And we'll start it in September. And we expect the first two segments to be done from Interstate 80 down to the Gavin Road, which we just showed you. We'll have that started and completed probably by April of next year. The bridge itself takes 18 months, so we will not be done with this project until April of 28. But in April 28, we'll have an opening, and we're meeting with NDOT next week. Well, I'm sorry, in 2 weeks. And we're walking through standards. Our goal is to be able to turn this over to the city of Fernley. We'll then turn it over to the state for maintenance. So that road will be 6 lanes. It will take you from 50 Alpha to Interstate 80. We're also working with the state of Nevada to add the second span to exit 50 to allow us to cross over and to begin the north projects as well. So exit 50 will be complete with 6 lanes. And then we'll start the road across the plains in the northern part. Next slide. That takes us to the North Fernley plan. This is illustrative in nature. So we have a project going on right now with a number of contractors to look at this property plus the land around it to support the city of Fernley. And so we look at about 4,000 acres of property, and we're going to master plan it starting from exit 50. And we're going to lay this out. So it'll have schools, civic areas, green areas, housing areas, retail areas, industrial areas. All of that's going to be in the north. So it's a vast open area. And we expect this to take 20 years to evolve. So there's going to be a lot of work once we start it. It'll be, a lot of construction work for 20 years. And so there's going to be people with whole careers working in this area. And again, we talked earlier with Western Nevada College today about vocational training. So we set up a center of excellence, and we're working on bringing students in to train them in the vocations to go into this workforce. So a lot going on in the north. We plan to go public with it probably in January of next year, and we'll put that out for public comment so they can see what's going on. We've taken a lot of public comment on already, and we've involved that into the planning. So we work with Lyon County Schools as well to make sure that they are prepared and they have a say on where the schools lay down at as well. So there is a tremendous amount of other things going on in the north. This is just really a topical look at it. But needless to say, the road that goes across, we have a long-term plan to carry that road all the way to the city of Sparks. All right, next slide. This is the fire station. So the city asked us to provide them in their development agreement a fire station. So we are. It's in a location that the city chose 3 years ago. It's currently being constructed. This picture is a week old, so now the walls are up on all sides. So if you drive up there, you'll see the walls. And that allows us to then gain our conditional permits and our certificate of occupancy for our other vendors that are building right now as well. So we see this being completed in early 27, and we're going to turn it over to the city as a dedication. Whether they matter or not, that's up to the county. And so we'll let the county and the city work that out. We're just fulfilling our requirement to give them a public facility that they asked for. Okay, next one. All right, this is what I get my most questions on. So the gentleman from NV Energy, they're working hard to provide power to the state. They're about 10, 12 years late. And you notice that none of those things went to the city of Fernley. Right? Everything's going other directions. So because our development requires power is the key to allow a lot of things to take place. We decided that we'll just do it ourselves. And so we contracted Great Basin. We have a gas pipeline that's in the pre-application phase with the Federal Energy Regulatory Committee, or FERC. We expect to go back to DC in July, and we'll meet with FERC and what they call the White House Innovation Council, or FAST 41. And then we'll take Great Basin with us. We'll apply for FAST 41 permitting advancement. So we see this being permitted and approved by February of next year, and we'll go into construction. We expect the pipeline to be completed no later than November of 28, probably earlier. At the same time, we're building a natural gas plant. We're going through the CUP process with that and the permitting process with the state to lay that out. We have customers who want the entirety of the power that's built, so we thought we struck it high, but we ended up not having enough. So we are looking at alternative powering methods from geothermal and solar to come into Victory. Now, I won't walk over to the map, but if you look at the map, in the center is kind of a light area that's not hash marked. That's Microsoft. Just above it is a blue and a red box. The red box is NV Energy substation called Picaro. The blue box to the right is the Victory substation called Victory. We have planned into it, and we're working with NV Energy to have a future interconnection so we can get into the state grid once it's done. So we are taking deep thought into what's going to happen in 2035, 2040 to allow the interconnection to take place. You'll notice that none of the hash marks has a building underneath it. So we went to the Public Utility Commission, showed them what we're going to do. They gave us approval. We are in the second reading next month for the Fernley Power District. And then we'll set up the ordinance and we'll build that. So why is that important? We gave the city of Fernley a 1% franchise of the total revenue that's being made. So that's a substantial increase to their general fund. We think that's going to be helpful for them. And as more power comes in, the district generates more revenue, they get more money. So again, I think the city is going to have a lot of opportunity to fix a lot of their challenges, and they're going to be able to go through that. We've also asked them to bank their money to look at some long-term projects that they want to get done as well. So yeah, it could be wastewater treatment or water treatment or other things that go on up there. So we're laying that out. So there's a lot going on with the Fernley Power District. Our initial power will be natural gas, followed by geothermal, followed by solar. And then if the state ever approves, we could bring in some other type of power that comes into here. So lots of opportunity in the power district, and the power district is expandable. But I don't own that property, so I can only do it on what I own. So that's what I have right now. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions on that, but we can go into it. Next slide. So we recognize that the workforce is important. There wasn't a workforce, so we partnered with Western Nevada College, and we provided them 40,000 square feet. And then we went to Congress and we asked for congressionally directed spending. So 2 months ago, they gave us $1 million. So we're starting the project. I confirmed today that the remaining $8.5 million has passed the two thresholds in Congress for the next budget. We got one more to go. Just got to wait and see. And then if the budget passes, we'll get that funding. All that goes to Western Nevada College, and we'll build out the rest of the Center of Excellence. So they'll have classrooms and they'll have vocational training areas in the back. We're starting with welding, and electricians are our first two vocational courses. We're going to move into HVAC and CDL. And then I have two companies that want to have specialty courses. So they'll bring in their program of instruction, which will be hosted by Western Nevada College, and then we'll teach those. We believe our average job will come out at about $55,000 per graduate, and they'll work right in the Victory District. So our demand signal for workforce is driving a lot of this. We met with Western Nevada this morning, and I believe they're starting their first electrical class in 2 weeks up in Victory in the classroom that we provided to them. And we think that's great. The cages themselves will be built. They're really large laboratories, and they'll be fully funded with the collateral equipment. So they'll just step in and take it. So we're donating all of that to Western Nevada so they can then create a workforce. Right now, we think that's not just for Fernley, it'll be for the wider area as well. So, and there's a lot of things that can happen with this. We're also encouraging the college, UNR, to build a satellite college out here. And we talked a little bit about nursing. We got nursing in Fallon. You know, we have a medical campus that is looking to come in up here as well. So we have a lot of demand for different types of workforces and management. So I think it's really a lot of growth for Fernley, but I think in the long run, they're going to do pretty well. And I believe that's my last slide. And so I can answer questions on that or anything else that comes to mind.
I'll start. No.
I just think it's innovative. Thank you for coming and presenting.
Sure, thank you.
It's my understanding on the North Plan, that's where you're going to kind of get into more housing. I mean, because my question is, as a Fernley resident, where are they going to live?
Sure. So we've hired a nationally known firm, John Burns. You can look them up, and they are going to put in 4 or 5 housing areas, and they're going to plan how those look. So this will not be, there'll be workforce housing, but there'll also be residential housing, and there'll be areas of housing. So different types of residential amenities will be put in each one. Again, we talked about the pathways, the bicycles, the ability to get to school. We are taking all that. So it's not just something that's going to be jammed in. It's going to be a large master plan that has segments that builds out as it grows. So we think housing, again, is going to come first. And as I tell everybody internally, as the residential population goes up, the larger box stores will start coming in. So I have a metric for each of the box stores. They want to come, they need to meet the metric. We're working on that. So we see auto parks, we see medical campuses, we see shopping areas all coming in, plus a variety of food amenities and things like that.
Yeah, I think that's something that they don't understand, that from a commercial perspective, there has to be so many rooftops before certain companies will even look at your area.
Good.
So from being in that sense, your build out actually has gone faster than you anticipated originally, correct?
It was kind of a stalled a couple of years ago, but we've worked through that, and we're now picking up momentum. We believe that when the road opens, 65% of the traffic that goes through downtown Fernley will change to Nevada Pacific. That's why we're trying to get the highway fixed, so we can consume that and put it back on Interstate 80. So we meet with NDOT to do that. So then the rest of the road, as it goes in and the power comes in, it's tough to say, but probably about 7 or 8 phone calls a day to come in and look at the property. And so there's a lot of interest in the area. Data centers are an interest, but they're not the only interest. We have a lot of manufacturing that wants to come in. And so, and we're very picky about who we pick because water is a concern. So we don't pick someone who's a big consumer of water. We're good with recycle, right? And we're good with usage, but we're not good with consumption. So we got to pay attention to all of it. So we do have those very tough talks with the different customers that come in. And obviously power is the other issue.
Right.
So I think we're going to solve power here in the near term. And then we just have to work on that. So our goal in the north is a One Water Nevada plan, just like they have up at Tumwa. So we're trying to put that in as well. So groundwater, surface, and effluent treated to a higher level than used again. So we think we can do that.
Yeah, because we do have that situation friendly where we have a lot of surface water. We just don't have the ability to use it at this point, but that's coming forward. So, well, thank you. I appreciate the information. Anyone else on this side?
I have a little recommendation because you're so knowledgeable. There's so much information out there that's wrong when it comes to data centers. And if you guys could put together a little pamphlet or something to explain how the data centers actually work and what it takes for power, what it takes for water. Ignorance is a scary thing when people are emotionally charged up with a lot of this stuff. And I think it would help you in the long run too, to have that information available to the public so that we're all working off the same game plan. And because I've been to hearings on these data centers, and I swear people are just so uninformed. So when that happens and emotions get involved, you don't have any clear thinking. It's just no, no, no. So it'd be great if you could do that. Your project is incredible. I've been out there and taking the tour and stuff with you. It's just amazing how fast you guys are going and what you're giving back to the community. I don't think you're ever going to fund that fire station with people. We don't even have enough money to fund the ones we got. So, but you better look with it.
It's going to be a really nice empty building, but I think the county and the city are looking on working on that in the future. But it does make sense. Now, we did put in for rural fire grants for the city. So to buy equipment and training apparatus for additional firemen. But again, we're doing what we can from the level we can, but it's up to the county and the city to work that out.
I appreciate you coming in.
We don't plan on having any fires, so we're good.
There's no room for fire out there. You got yourself built up where you have it.
Agreed.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your vision and thank you for everything you've done out there. Very innovative. And trains. I'm English, obviously, and you want to go somewhere, you jump on a train. So when I saw you extending the railroad, I was like, that, when I first came to America, I was like, where's all the trains? Why can't I just jump on a train and go somewhere? So bringing the railroad in, I think is huge. Hopefully it'll inspire others to want to do the same.
So we do have those conversations about commuter trains, right? So there's constraints with UP and its ability to get out of Reno. And within the where it has, what its boundaries is, the Truckee and everything else. So in our vision for the road across the mountains of Sparks, we're envisioning a large PUE that has a commuter train that connects that area down to here. So we're looking at a lot of different things to do that. And we're finding innovative ways to fund that. So our road will be funded privately and then we'll turn it over to the state. Because I don't want to maintain it. Right. So we'll fix it. We'll do that. We'll lay it out. And we think that's going to be helpful. And it also helps the RTC with their road as well. So we're working with RTC. We've got work to do. But it's not, we're not trying. So when we speak with Tracy at NDOT in a couple of weeks, we'll bring her up to date on what's happening as well. So we see that as a great commuter artery, and trains are part of that vision.
Perfect. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate your time. Thank you for coming here, and we'll speak soon. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, we're going to move on with the rest of the agenda. The next item up is item 8B for possible action to forward a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners for the request of Mark Jones for conditional use permit for an indoor vertical farm system on land zoned AG agricultural located on 60 Artesia Road in Wellington on approximately 21.60 acre parcel APN 010-81-43 PLZ-2026-003. I think.
Yeah, I just want to get in the record too. So Brett Lovett, applicant on this, we gave written notice to the county on April 30th that we would not be proceeding. I understand that the district attorney didn't understand that. So effective immediately, we are withdrawing our application. Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve Rye, District Attorney. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, sorry for that misunderstanding. We have had a lot of discussions among staff regarding the application, and so we did not understand it that way, but the withdrawal of the application does not prevent them from coming forward in the future.
Okay.
So you can call for public participation if you want to. I would doubt there'd be any, but since it's on the agenda.
Okay.
Thank you.
With the applicant withdrawing their application, I don't think that there's a need for public input unless there's somebody in here that really wants to speak. And we'll provide you the opportunity, sir. Please sign in with your address and then state your name, and you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Okay, well, my name is Matt Swain, and I've been following this project for a long time. And you tell me it's dead. Well, I'm not convinced it's dead. I think there's once I see it in a pine box, I'll know it's dead. Make no mistake about it, this vertical farm, first off, agriculture is one of the things that drew us to Smith Valley to begin with. This vertical farm is an industrial facility in under agricultural zoning. That fact notwithstanding, details have been withheld. The electrical consumption, which I estimate at 40 megawatts, is enormous. Water consumption, I don't think can be covered under the water rights that Mr. Jones has. Vehicular traffic has been grossly underestimated. That will be a effect noise and noise from HVAC systems. I think that this whole thing has represented a waste of time for the community. If this project comes back to life, it must address all these details. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, it's a public area. Okay, anybody online? All right, with that, then we are going to move forward to item 8C for possible action to forward a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners for the request from the Boys and Girls Club of Mason Valley for a conditional use permit to construct and operate a 13,660 square foot teen center and child care center and a 14,130 square foot gymnasium on land subject to land subject to rural residential 5-acre minimum RR5 zoning located in Silver Springs at 4035 West Spruce Avenue on a 3.85 acre parcel, APN 018-481-08 TLZ-2026-036. And Mr. Carriola is our staff today. Nice to see you.
Likewise. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. After our contentious items earlier in your agenda, I'm looking forward to presenting this. It's a request from the Boys and Girls Club of Mason Valley for a new facility in Silver Springs. So the general location is west and south of the intersection of Highway 50 and Ramsey Weeks, and more specifically at the southwest corner of Spruce Avenue and Topaz Street. Technically, if the road becomes West Spruce Avenue, right to the north of the property. We'll note also the location just west and across Topaz Street from the Silver Stage High School, and then the Silver Stage Middle School is to the north of the high school. So as we can readily recognize, this is an ideal location for the proposed use. Getting into the master plan designations, we've got two to address. First, the actual master plan designation of rural residential, that's seen on the right. Were this property to be developed as proposed, this would be a good candidate potentially for a master plan change, maybe in 2030, when we're looking at the master plan update, perhaps to that public, quasi-public designation, which is shared by the school properties. We can see that purple shading for the school properties. It is worth noting to the north of the subject parcel designated with an X, there's a large block also in purple. That property is owned by the United States government, so we have no information on development plans there. Regarding the character district, we can see the two designations shown on that map on the left, both rural and suburban. As we mention often when we're discussing character districts, the suburban districts typically have the availability of public utilities for water and sewer. In this case, the serving utilities would be the Silver Springs Mutual Water Company and the Silver Springs GID for sewer. The Silver Springs GID is administered by the Lyon County Lyon County Utilities Department. It's important to note that the applicant has already begun working with both utilities to be annexed into the service area so that public utilities would be provided to the new facility. I'll take advantage of this moment to then mention Representative Eric Anderson, the engineer on the project, is here today to maybe fill in some of the gaps on their progress after my presentation. Jumping into the zoning, as we often mention, most parcels in the county do still hold an expired district name from our replaced Development Code Title 10. So the applicable zoning for this parcel, and we can see again, the school parcels are all the same at rural residential 5-acre minimum. Again, also the USA owned parcel is noted there with the neighborhood commercial zoning. So it's a little different than the other zonings, but it is a parcel that is located along the highway. So I think that's understandable. So getting into the reason for this request before you today, there are two generalized land uses from our land use tables, which are held in chapter 15.320 of our development code, title 15. The two that describe the proposed uses are public assembly with a seating capacity of 350 or less. That use requires a design review. However, the use of a child daycare center with more than 12 children requires a conditional use permit. So when we have a larger project in which one use requires a conditional use permit, the entire project moves through this CUP process. So that's what we're doing here. Okay. So I've got two slides here for depicting the site plan and the individual components of the project. I think maybe it would be easier to move to the second slide here, Gavin. Thank you. Where we don't have the imagery below it, it's a little easier to see. So phase one, per the applicant's description, is going to be that what they're calling the clubhouse, the teen center. The size is on the order of 13,000 square feet, broken out into two separate generalized components of approximately 4,500 square foot childcare center, and then that clubhouse center for 9,100 square feet. I'll again kind of defer to Mr. Anderson maybe for some of the details in the project after the presentation, and I'll just be running over the generalized site plan here. The second phase per the application materials submitted would then incorporate a gymnasium. So I think I've got a typo here. I apologize. Phase two is moving to the gymnasium on the right side of the slide, which I also should have noted north is to the left here. So the gymnasium would be 14,000 square feet. Between the gymnasium and the teen center would be a playground, a turf field, and then a toddler's playground, which I'm sure is adorable. So we've got two sets of elevations to show here in the presentation. They are included as attachments in the application, as well as in the staff report, the first being the first stage, the clubhouse and teen center. And then the next slides will show the proposed elevations. These ones with color, of course, make it really pop here. Seeing some of the design elements intended for, and again, I have the same typo carried forward. I apologize. This would be the gymnasium center. So if we move forward through the presentation, I'll be addressing just a quick summary of the findings for conditional use permits found in chapter 15-230-06. And the next slide runs through some of the finding highlights in the staff report, as well as pointing out the intention for the recommended conditions of approval to ensure that the appropriate permits and process are followed. So to begin, two goals and policies are quoted in the staff report regarding orderly growth patterns and following development patterns. I think we can all recognize that in a location where both parents and residents for this region are used to seeing children, that moving children just across the street is a perfect location for the children's safety, and I think for motorists as well. The applicant will be required to construct crosswalks and sidewalks to ensure safe passage for the pedestrians from the schools to the new facility. New roadway improvements have not been identified by the roadway department because it's not expected that there would be sufficient additional vehicle trips based on the fact that this facility would be across the street from the school. So if anything, this has the potential to reduce trips. Parents could now potentially be dropping children off and not have to pick them up until after their after-school activities over at the center. Stormwater management would be established through the site development and building permit process. Public utility services are being established, and any other kind of requirements would be addressed through that building permit process. Staff is able then, of course, to recommend approval of the project. Here's the recommended motion. I'm available for questions, but I again would ask that our engineer kind of fill in some of the details on the project. Thank you.
Any questions?
Pretty straightforward.
We do have a quick question for you, sorry.
Yes, sir.
So we're on phase 8. Have the RR5 designation with your XR. And then, so we have different tables down and allow different things and stuff. Public assembly, including churches. And we go over the next chart, it says adult and child care. So that's on any RR5 property.
That's correct, sir. Yes, that's right from our development code. So any property with those zoning districts would be subject to the same entitlement process.
Good morning. My name is Travis Crowder. I'm the director of the Boys and Girls Club of Mason Valley. And appreciate the time. Today I won't speak, I did a great job. I'm just gonna bring you along for all of my presentations on this. You know, just to answer any questions that you have, but also maybe just to clarify too, one of the things that was asked was, or thought of was some hours of operation. We'd be looking and basically, just like we do all of our clubhouses, we'd be, during the school year, we'd be, open till, in this particular clubhouse about 6:30, due to a lot of our parents working on the parkway, currently there. And then, during the summer and, breaks, we'd be more of a 6:30 to 6:30 type of a scenario. Effectively just making sure we're available to the families that need us. So that kind of gives you an idea on the scope of the time frame when we get to that point.
And just a quick comment, how many children do you think this facility will house?
Great question. Currently, right now, for the longest time, we've been operating out of the multipurpose room in the schools, who's been a great partner for us. And we've been maxed. We've been maxed at about 80 kids a day in a multipurpose room. For several years. So that being said, our mindset is that we would be somewhere in the vicinity of what we see in our Dayton sites. So somewhere between 150 or so a day would be what our best guess would be based on interest from parents and what we're already hearing. As you can imagine, in small towns, word travels fast. So we're already getting a lot of excitement going and between the county and the irrigation district and everybody else that's been playing a role in it, it's generated a lot of excitement. No problem.
Will these kids be walking from the high school? I mean, or the school over to your facility
Correct, with our staff, correct.
with your staff?
Yes, we
Okay,
do
so
that. We do that here as well with our irrigation site.
Okay, so there is protection for them.
Yes.
On those roads.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Okay, then we're.
Gonna go to public comment. If you have something to say, you're more than welcome. Just sign in to make sure you give your name for the record, please.
Okay, Eric Anderson with Bighorn Consulting, civil engineer and project manager for the Boys and Girls Club. Good morning, and county staff, thank you, Louis, for such a thorough presentation. I want to thank the county staff for all their help with this project. We're very excited about it. We've been working on this for 3 or 4 years now, and some funding reality came our way, and we jumped right on it. One of the first things we had to do, and I'm reiterating what Louis said, is based on the zoning and all the boundaries for the utilities for Silver Springs GID and Silver Springs Mutual Water Company are at Topaz Street, which is our east boundary. So the first thing we had to do, we started about 4 or 5 months ago, was annex into those 2 jurisdictions for utility service. So the sewer for the Silver Springs GID was approved last week for annexation, and I'm going to be recording that annexation agreement today. So we're going to be in great shape for sewer. And then for water, we've been working with Silver Springs Mutual Water Company now. We've already petitioned for annexation to them. They've accepted the annexation application, and they're working on everything they need to do on their end administratively for us. And that actually, part of their process, the whole project has to go through the Public Utilities Commission, which we were unaware of 6 months ago. We're actually unaware of that when we were deeded the property years ago. So we have about a 6-month time frame schedule built out right now. The ultimate goal is to go in front of the Public Utilities Commission for acceptance of our project, and we have that scheduled for sometime in September, October right now. But all things are tracking. Can we look at the site plan, Gavin, please? And that last one without the.
There you go, perfect. So this building here, this is our first building. This is phase one, as Lewis explained. And then phase two is gonna be the gymnasium. And then we don't know when the soccer turf field will come, either with the gymnasium, it might end up being part of its own project, depending on funding. But you can see that we have adequate access, 3 driveway locations on Topaz Street. The first 2 driveways, these 2 will be constructed with the first building. So we'll have plenty of traffic circulation, and the third driveway will be, in this parking lot, will be constructed with the gymnasium. And this building, we're already about 75% done with the architecture and the design of that building. And our full intention, following the Board of Commissioners meeting, is to be submitting for permits soon after the Board of Commissioners meeting. And we have 2 playgrounds here, one here and one here. These will be constructed with the daycare portion of this building. So ultimately, this building has 2 uses. The north 2/3 is the clubhouse. We're calling the Clubhouse Teen Center. The south third, this strip here, this is the actual daycare. And the daycare will have its, the 2 playgrounds will be associated with just the daycare. This north side, we're gonna have a common area for the clubhouse, some gazebos, some sitting areas. We're planning a half-court basketball court, some playground structures here. So that'll all be part of the north 2/3, which will be the clubhouse. Essentially, what we're doing is like we have here in the city, we have the teen center and we have the daycare. We're essentially combining both uses into one building. And that helps with staffing, helps with traffic, it helps with parking, loading, unloading. This building is going to have a commercial kitchen. We're already working on that. Those permits with the state for the commercial uses within this clubhouse for events. We'll have events in there as well. What's really neat about this building is we're designing the cafeteria to be able to open up to the common area. So we can open up that entire area when we have events that are scheduled in that building. And then this little meal area we're gonna have for the little guys. The guys are still in diapers crawling around. We're gonna turf this area and just give them a nice little area to be kind of crawling around and have some toys out there and wagons and such. So we're very excited about this project. You can't see it here on this, but this is the sidewalk that's going to connect up to the schools. So we're going to be building this off-site sidewalk with crosswalks, and this will come all the way into the site, all the way up to our front door. So that's going to be the pedestrian path that leads from the schools down to our facility. And there's we're going to be doing a lot of we're going to be conscious of water uses with our landscaping, a lot of drought tolerant kind of landscaping and everything there will meet all the county requirements for landscaping. But we're very excited about this. The community needs it. There's a demand in Silver Springs, and we're trucking forward. We're very excited to continue to work with county staff and community development, building department on all of our permit applications we'll be bringing forward. And I'd be glad to answer any other questions you may have.
Go ahead.
I hope you've looked at this a little, learned from Fernley's. Because those kids are subject to being run over all the time. When you come in there, the sun is so bright in your faces, you can't even see the kids on the road walking across it.
Okay.
And I don't know how you're gonna maybe put a cover over that, so it's not so bad. But have you looked at this to make sure we're not gonna run into the same situation here? Where parents pick the kids up and they.
So they're sun facing, they're pulling into the west, you're suggesting, and pulling in here. So the way that we're figuring out our circulation for the pedestrians is they're not going to be ever out in the parking lot. They're going to be off-site here and coming in. And then if a parent picks up a kid, we have this whole front area designated for the drop-off, pickup, and loading zones right here, right in front of the building. The building is 32, 34 feet tall. So it'll be shaded this area quite a bit for the sun. And we also did that because of the predominant wind direction in Silver Springs comes out of the south and the west. So that we're hoping that front parking lot area will be protected as well. I hope that kind of answers.
Well, yeah, that's fine. It's just very dangerous for the kids of Fernley. And
Understand.
I think
Yes.
that kind of went by the way before people realized that it needs to be addressed.
Okay.
Because I've almost had a couple kids that are slow.
Any other questions? Well, thank you. I appreciate your time. Yes.
Thank you very much.
I think the location of it is nice because it does help with the transportation of the kids, because in Fernley, we do have to bus them between all of the schools, and so that makes a big financial swing for you guys. So at this time, we'll take a public comment. Does not appear to we have anything in-house, so how about online? Is there anybody online? Okay, so at this time, I will take a motion for 8C.
I'll make a motion. Based on the aforementioned findings, I move that the Planning Commission recommend approval to the Board of County Commissioners for the request from the Boys and Girls Club of Mason Valley for a conditional use permit to construct and operate a 13,660 square foot teen center and child care center and a 14,130 square foot gymnasium on land subject to rural residential 5-acre minimum or R5 zoning located in Silver Springs at 4035 West Spruce Avenue on a 3.85 acre parcel, APN 018-481-08, PLZ-2026-036.
Motion was made by Commissioner Loomis, seconded by Commissioner Jones. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? That passes 5-0. Moving on to number 9, Community Development Director. For discussion only, Community Development Director comments and updates. Mr. Gavin, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Gavin Henderson, Community Development Director for the record. No major comments or updates today. I do appreciate Mr. Jones' agenda request from Mark Ford. That was pretty good information. Glad to see there's a unique vision and in Lyon County and the city of Fernley. Glad to see development still proceeding over there. But as always, available for any questions the commission may have that came up today or any other matters.
Oh, Commissioner Allen. Data centers, quite a few people in Dayton have requested information from me since I'm on the planning commission. What do you know about them? They're just cropping up in Lyon County like crazy, and they're in Washoe County, and I don't know if they're all the same. I didn't know if you could maybe present some information to the advisory board so that we have some information out to the public about what they are. And
sure.
Because I hear a lot of distrust and fear about them because they don't know. And I couldn't answer their questions, so.
Right, and just to expand on the data center topic. So on next week's board agenda, we are requesting a date and a time to schedule a workshop. So staff has been directed from the board to create an ordinance, creating standards. What zoning districts, the county may or may not allow those data centers to come in, what that process is, whether permitted, conditionally permitted. So as from staff's perspective, we have a pretty good draft of that ordinance. So we are looking to schedule a workshop to have that discussion.
Okay.
We are also, we'll invite, our data center projects as far as the developers on site, because we want to have them participate in those conversations as well as the public and the board, as well as staff. So it is coming forward. We understand there's a lot of information going out there. We do our best to answer the questions as they come to us. If you do receive questions, we're always forwarding to staff or available to answer those.
And I do, I let them know your name.
Yeah, and a lot of it comes down to, energy, water usage,
Right.
construction timelines, those kind of things. The ordinance will hopefully resolve a lot of those issues.
Okay.
But the technology is ever advancing, so it is kind of a moving target as well, which is a challenge. From the county's perspective, we're not seeing any of the water cooled systems. A lot of it, it's HVAC systems, so air cooled closed loop systems. So they're trying to minimize the water usage. As the Mark Board representative said, they're trying to be good stewards of the water because consumption is a problem, right? So looking at using reclaimed water, alternatives there is also positive. So they're trying to be proactive to the community as they're going in and understand the resources that are kind of limiting factors there and not trying to overburden the communities as well. But like I said, the technology is changing, it's a moving target, so it's obviously hopefully going to continue to get better, more efficient, and not be so resource intense from the power consumption, because the caveat there is if they're not using water, they're using power. right? So the power consumption goes up as well. So it's kind of a balance act too at the same time.
Thank you.
You're absolutely correct. Technology is moving at the speed of lightning. So you tell us something this week, next week is not true.
Right.
You know, because it's moving that quick. But is this a workshop? Is that open just to staff or is it public open or what is it?
Yep, publicly.
It'll be open to the public?
Yep.
Okay.
Hopefully shooting to a timeframe in August. We'll see what the board decide, but understand.
We got your 3 minutes, you're out.
Understand that, July is a busy month for everyone with the holidays and everything going on. So we'll see what date and time comes forward. But as always, anyone's welcome to time.
Thank you for making that happen with Mark Ford. Because he's very good at explaining what they're doing and why they're doing it. And I think that's outstanding the way they run their business. So thank you.
No, thank you.
That's something real quick.
Sure.
One of the public comments at the very beginning was about the schedule of all projects. And that triggered something in my mind. Is there somewhere on the website that the public can go and see?
It is so current stage of those projects is they're either in the entitlement phase or just at the end of it. So usually construction timelines are they're moving targets right now. So it is a concern of staffs and we've relayed that to the developers as far as conflicting construction timelines and what that looks like. That's why the traffic impact study process was a little bit more intensive, especially for those those projects at the north end of Mason Valley, because we did have concerns about overlapping construction traffic there. And that's why the improvements also scaled up the way they did. We expanded the reach of that scope of those traffic impact studies, and we worked with NDOT to do that as well. So essentially, we are not trying to create a USA Parkway issue. We're trying to work with the developers as well as their projects come forward. But until we have a permit in the system, it's really hard to target a construction start and end date. They have perspective, but they'll give you, Q3 of 2027, right? Which is, not finite enough for us to start producing that to the public because we want to be as accurate as possible.
So you have something speculative from
we do have
project management or something like that. You just don't have an actual. Right. Yeah, this is when this is going to start, and this is when this phase is going to be ending.
Exactly.
And at the same, whole Gantt chart. It's just okay.
Yeah, a lot of it's like I said, Q3 2028. We want to be done, or we want to mobilize that date. So it is right now at least subjective. So as we continue, and it was good feedback today as well. As we continue to narrow down those timelines, I think it's a good move on staff's part to make that information public, as well as put that burden on the developer as well, and make them a good resource for community members as well.
Is that a finding that's possible to add to the requirements when they come in for the last finalization of the building permits? That they have to provide you with monthly, quarterly construction schedules? They have them, they manage their business that way, so.
For instance, maybe Tract is a good example in Silver Springs. In their development agreement, they're required to come back every 2 years and provide an update to the board. We've used that for the Black Hawk laydown yard. That's every 6 months. They have to go back to the CAB and provide an update, also receive feedback there. We want to keep them engaged in my community, understand it's a pretty sensitive project as well out there. So we do our best, but if that is a standing commission that makes sense, absolutely. It's just as easy as making a conditional approval.
Okay. That's something to think about in the future then. Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Moving on. Number 10, commissioner comments and agenda requests. Any of that information? I think we kind of covered some of that just now, but nothing? Okay. Number 11, public participation. No action will be taken on any item until it's properly agendized. Members of the public who wish to address the Planning Commission may approach the podium and speak on matters related to the Lyon County Planning Commission, but not on items appearing on the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person or topic and will not be restricted based on viewpoint. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an item upon which action may be taken. At this time, is there anybody in the forum that would like to speak? We have one.
Robin Biggs for the record. A lot of people were appalled at the fact that 8A, or 8, public hearing, with all the talk about how it was an incomplete permit with NV Energy and all these high tension wires and what they're doing, it was incomplete, and people read and spoke of how this is so wrong. I was surprised that we even got a motion, and then to have a second and move it on and with no public comment after the motion was made.
Okay, you are speaking on an item that is agendized. And this is the time frame for items that are correct. She can. Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Minute and a half.
And as far as Galvin talking about, or Mr. Henderson speaking about having the data center, Ms. Allen, asked about that, and that's in the grounds, that is in the works and it's going to happen. This building cannot support that as a venue. I think you need to look at like the Boys and Girls Club gym, because people cannot be heard. And when Tuesday, this meeting was held here instead of Monday because of the holiday, then there was another meeting that had to be held over at the public library. So I don't think it's an unreasonable request to look at that meeting to be held at the Boys and Girls Club. And if it has to be in the evening or something, then we should go there so we, the people can be heard. These data centers are very bad, and Washoe County has put a moratorium on them, and there are none going in the city of Reno and Sparks because of how horrible they are for the public health. Thank you.
Anybody online have any comments? Okay, then we are going to move to adjourn this meeting at 11:24. Thank you.